Welcome to NASPA Tonight.
This is all of your Scrabble news in 25 minutes or less.
I'm Josh Greenway.
I'm Jackson Smylie.
Let's talk about Scrabble.
The time starts right now. We have a pretty full episode for you tonight. This is our first episode back where we're not doing controversies.
That's right.
So we had a whole...
It's all calm.
I know.
All calm this episode.
We didn't know what we're going to do without controversy. That's what fuels us right now. But we have some worlds to cover.
That's right.
We have another discussion to cover. And we're also doing a new thing tonight, new segment called Analysis Paralysis.
Analysis Paralysis.
Featuring Kenji Matsumoto.
That's right. So he's going to be our guest tonight for that feature. But let's do probably our longest running feature first.
It's not NASPA Tonight unless you have Tournament Talk.
That's right.
So we have a bunch of tournaments to cover this week. It's a pretty packed schedule this weekend. There's a tournament in Toronto, and there's tournaments all over the place. Josh, are you playing the Toronto tournament?
I don't know yet. That's a very good question. How about you?
I don't think I am, unfortunately.
Okay, but the registrations are coming in. I think they're up to 40 people.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And that looks to be the biggest tournament on the schedule this week. So let's get right into Toronto. And now, who's picking first?
So last week we picked for the World Championship.
That's right.
The World Championship just started. They're one day in. So
we have no results.
There's no results. So we're going to stick it to a tie. I'm not going to draw this week. I'm going to be gracious, and I'm going to let Josh pick first.
Okay, so let's go. We've got Toronto, TWL. I'll take Josh Jr.
Wow, and I will take his fellow Quebecer, Michael Fagan.
All right, should be a battle royale. Let's go to TWL CSW. Oh, boy.
I think I got a pretty good pick lining up for me. I'm going to take Canada #1, Adam Logan.
All right, I'm going to go with Jeffrey Newman.
Wow,
I haven't seen Jeffrey Newman in forever. I love that guy.
I played him on Sunday in the long
Yeah, he's great. We never see him anymore, though. Okay, then we've got Victoria. I am going to go first. I don't see any reason not to go chalk here, so let's go Chris Williams.
See, this is the problem with ratings. Like, we just have these ratings in front of us and it just tells us who to pick, and it's really annoying.
Well, then go further
down.
That
being said, I'm going to go with Michael Baker. Never played him, but I think he's good.
Okay, and if you guys disagree with our picks, certainly throw that in the comments. And this is number 4, so you are going first. So we got Michigan here. We got a much tighter grouping. Who do you like?
This is closer this time. Paul Epstein is at a really low rating right now. Like, he's usually up in the 1800s or 1900s. So I think his rating, even as high as it is not accurately reflective of his skill. So I'm still going to go with Paul Epstein because I think he's just by far the chalkiest pick here.
All right, I'm going to go off chalk here. I'm going with Christy
Zerbic.
Yes, big fan. All right, let's go with tournament number 5. This one it's an 8-person tournament.
Okay.
We never talk about New Mexico, I feel like. Almost never. And they've got a really interesting kind of Scrabble scene down there.
Is this one of the ones at John Karras' house?
I don't know. Okay. I'm not sure. I should have looked at the flyer. But I am going to go here. I'm going John Karras. Maybe it is at his house and it's home field advantage.
See, the thing is, I would think if it's at his house, he would be at a disadvantage because you're worrying so much about providing food and running around and doing all this stuff and running a tournament. So if it's at John Karras' house, I would definitely not go for John Karras, even though he's a great player. And he just has this knack of beating me in the most weird possible way. I feel like I've never beaten him just because of some random stuff happening. So I'm not going to go chalk, even though you didn't go chalk. I'm going to go with Gunther Jacoby. He's just coming back from Calgary. He just played a few tournaments in Calgary this past weekend. And I think he's driving down to New Mexico as we speak. So I feel like this drive is really going to
energize
him up. Yeah, I think he's going to be well rested. So I'm going to go with Gunther.
Okay, and then we've got, this is one of the tournaments that you like to see. Yeah. We've got, this is happening in Tacoma, Oregon, I believe. Oregon. Oregano. So who do you like? This is your pick. Who do you like here? Pick.
So I've always said that Evans Clinchey has a ridiculous record against Dave Weed. He pretty much splits with him.
I remember
they played 100 games and they've split them. So Evans is a pretty good favorite against Dave, but Dave has this knack of crushing everyone else. So I'm going to go with Dave.
Okay, well then I'm going to go with Evans. I saw on Facebook that Evans was out hitting the campaign trail, going door to door.
Nice job, Evans. Appreciate it.
Twisting people's arms. Okay, that is tournament talk for this week. We'll see what happens. It's always fun to look around the country and see all these different tournaments going on. So that's great. Let's go to the next sort of headline here.
The main headline is the World Championship.
That's right. And the first day has completed. And I noticed that Chris Lipe is watching. So
great.
What time is it there? He should not be awake right now.
Chris, you got to get your sleep. Chris is 6-2 right now. He's doing well.
I know.
Got to get your beauty rest.
Now, you normally at a tournament, you'll go to bed at 10 p.m.
10 p.m. is every day of the week.
That's right. So Chris is up at 1:10 a.m. UK time. So Chris, shout out to you. Nice job on day one. Let's take a look at where we are on day one standings. There's some interesting things going on here. So we've got Nigel sitting in fourth.
Nigel's doing well. I think Chris Lipe was actually the first one to take Nigel down in the fourth round. Beat him by 15 points. Okay. Pretty solid performance by our American over here. And most notable here is Paul Allen sweeping the tournament, the only person to sweep today at 8-0.
Wow.
Especially when behind him is like two world champions from second and fourth position. I feel like I picked Paul Gallen to win this or to do really well. Paul Gallen's one of these people who hasn't won a Worlds, but he's like a really, really good player, and he's relatively like unknown to North Americans because he doesn't travel that much to North America.
Right.
But Paul, I'm not surprised at all that Paul is doing so well. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he makes the finals or wins even.
I see. And we've got a couple of North Americans here in the top 15. We've got Jason Keller sitting in ninth. I don't know why we don't have a picture of Jason Keller. I feel like all I have to do is Google Jason Keller, and there are all kinds of pictures all over the internet. And, of course, the aforementioned Chris Lipe.
But the thing is, like, we have a picture for Chris Lipe, but I feel like Chris, I assume, Chris, you still have your long mane, and I feel like this picture needs to be updated because your hair is about 20 times longer.
Yeah,
so
what's
I think
going on?
We should do that.
They should, whoever's running this, just TSH and you go update pics. That's what the command is. And then you should have those pictures. Anything else you see here? I mean, we talked about Brett Smitherman is one of the favorites.
Smithers is doing pretty well. I mean, Smithers is one of the favorites, but you'll notice the third favorite, David Eldar, is missing from his top 15. And it's not because he's doing badly. He didn't have like a rough day or anything. He is not in the tournament, apparently. His name is nowhere to be found. I just messaged him to see what's going on. I haven't heard anything. So if you know why David Eldar has dropped out of the tournament, please let us know because we're very curious.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. There are a couple of comments here that I saw. I misspoke. Tacoma is Washington State.
Oh, it's in Washington.
Apparently. Yeah. So I missed that. And and we've got some other notes about David Eldar, but no explanation. So I don't know what's going on there.
I guess he doesn't want to lose. Like now that he's won a World, he just can't stand the thought of losing one.
All right, so that's going to be exciting to follow. Do you know how many days this is?
I'm pretty sure it's 35 games. So it's like 4 or 5 days, kind of like Nationals, 4 days and then a bit of a fifth. I think they're also doing a playoffs, though. As far as I know, they're doing...
Gotcha. Do we know how many games are in the playoffs?
I want to say it's top 8 go to the playoffs, but I'm not sure.
Oh, like
if you know in the comments, let us know how big the bracket is. If it's 8 people, 4 people, or 2 people. Right. I feel like it's 8, but I'm not sure about that. So let us know. I'm super excited to watch the Worlds. They also have a streaming channel. We're going to post the link to the Twitch stream later on tonight. So in case you don't see the link, you can click that link and then watch some live games tomorrow. They're going to be going pretty much all day. They have 8 games tomorrow, and it's definitely a Twitch stream you don't want to miss for sure. So we'll post that link later on today. So
now our next segment is going to be. Hold on, what are we doing here?
It's our new segment.
That's right. Why don't you explain what is going on?
We started a new segment for tonight. It's called Analysis Paralysis. Basically, we're going to do a position of the week, bring up a position, and we're going to bring on a guest to analyze that position. So since we had these 8 weeks of controversy, most of the content we covered was very like qualitative, when there was a lot of like discussion and debate. But we thought, why we should introduce some content that's a lot more Scrabble heavy. So we're going to start doing one position every week, and we do some hardcore analysis. This week we're bringing on Kenji Matsumoto, the author of Breaking the Game and Words of Wisdom. So he's going to analyze a position.
Right.
And yeah, that's going to be the talk. Why it's called analysis paralysis is a good question. Because Kenji rarely faces that because he is an analysis machine.
Yes. And we were originally going to call it position of the week. But then we thought that was a little
didn't have enough ring to it.
That's right.
So analysis paralysis. If you have another lysis or isis word, then maybe
that's good. Make it a 3-word title.
Oh yeah. So Kenji is supposed to come on now. He's not here so far. Might be some internet issues.
Right.
So what we can do is post the position up here. Where is it? This one. I'm going to post a position here. We're going to keep some world's headlines up on the screen as well, just in case you want to keep checking those out. And where's the rack? And where's the rack? Here it is.
Yeah.
So here's a position. While Kenji comes on, I'll do a little introduction. This is a position from this year's national championship. It's between Nigel Richards and Joey Malik. Nigel Richards, as you know, is a future second place finisher in the championship, and he's the one who's playing right now. So he is at 8 points. He just played IE so far, nothing else, and he has this rack of EEEORWY. So I brought this position up just because I was looking through this annotated game the other day, and I saw this play made by Nigel, and it initially surprised me because the play that he made is usually something that you're taught early on in your Scrabble career not to do. So as soon as you see him make this play, it's this big surprise because you see the best player in the world making a play that intuitively seems like the wrong play. But then I did some simulations, and it turns out that the play he made is actually very reasonable. If it's not like absolutely correct, it's definitely a very reasonable play. So we're going to get Kenji on shortly.
Yeah, a little connection trouble. I don't think that's on Kenji. I think that's I don't know what's going on with the.
I'm not sure. Someone's Reno. It's a pretty high elevation city. I feel like the waves just go right above Toronto's head. That's my theory.
Right. So I thought this was an interesting rack, but I also thought that it was a opening rack.
So it's not an opening rack.
Right.
Next week we might be bringing you an opening rack position. This time it is not. So Kenji, all right, he might be here.
Let's see.
This is the best part of every show. Like, I know you all just tune in for the technical difficulties. It's my favorite part of every week.
Yeah, for some reason, Kenji, if you can hear us, maybe you want to check your camera. That would be good. But maybe the point is we need to start going through this.
Yeah. So I will since I've done
I can lend my analysis to this.
So the play Nigel makes is YEOW, which is a new word in TWL. He plays YEOW. He doesn't play it at K3, making 1 for 26. Instead, he plays it at N6 for 32. 6 more points. But as you can see, when you play YEOW making any, that puts the O right next to a triple word score. And it just looks like this ridiculously aggressive opening that's going to just result in your opponent scoring 60 points next turn. So that's the type of thing you learn very early on, like don't open a triple word score, and especially not in the manner that Nigel opened it, like putting a vowel right next to a triple word score, allowing someone to do a parallel play, getting the triple both times. It just seems like defensive suicide, as I would put it.
What other kinds of options would have been available here?
The main other option is playing the same word, YEOW, but playing it at K3, making 1. Because it only sacrifices 6 points, and the thinking is if your opponent gains more than 6 points on average from playing it aggressively with any, then it's not worth it to play, because if your opponent averages 10 more points, then they're going to be gaining more than you are. But there's a few other considerations. The first one is that the W is not actually that easily paralleled. To parallel the W, you need an E or an O. I don't know the exact math, I didn't look it up, but your opponent doesn't have an E or an O always on their rack. They probably do definitely more than half the time, but it's definitely not a guarantee. And you're keeping 2 E's in your lead. So on the off chance your opponent doesn't have an E or an O, they might either leave it open, in which case you can hit it yourself, or they will block it out of fear. And either way, that's a pretty good position. So although some of the time they can burn you really hard, the times when they don't burn you are actually really, really good for you. And you get 6 extra points right now. The other consideration is Joey Malik just played VULN. He just played it at M3.
Yes.
And it's worth considering what his range is. So by range,
right?
Yeah, by range, I mean what tiles he most likely kept on his rack. So for example, Nigel's first play was AIYEE through the Y. And it's very clear that Nigel's range after IE is vowels. Nigel was definitely keeping 2 vowels on his rack, because if Nigel had 3 consonants on his rack, there's no way he'd be playing IE for 8 points. So it's stuff like that. Sometimes range is really obvious what your opponent's holding, and sometimes it's not very obvious. In the case of Vuln, Joey's range is not completely clear. It's not like he always keeps a certain type of leave, but I think it's more likely than average that he keeps some 3 consonant leaves, or just some really clunky leaves, like things that might not hit Yao very much. Some stuff like ANT, stuff like INT. He could keep, again, a lot of 3 consonant leaves or 2 consonant leaves that don't overlap the W.
So you don't think he has an E?
It's not that he doesn't have an E. Joey could easily have an E, but it's that a lot of racks make sense where he doesn't have an E. For example, all the times when Joey's keeping 3 consonants, which I think is actually pretty often given Vuln, all the times when he's keeping 3 consonants, he's not keeping an E or an O. So then paralleling Yao is a lot harder. So basically all these factors considered, Yao, which looks like a really, really aggressive and ridiculous play that you should never make, in this position is actually correct, or at least close to correct. And I think it really illustrates how good Nigel is at this game, because most of us, when we play, we have these like rules of thumb where it's like, don't open a triple word score, or just any sorts of rules of thumb. But Nigel's able to consider that type of rule of thumb and also adapt it to the specific position and see exactly what the numbers are and exactly when it's right to break these rules of thumb. So I think this is a really interesting position, because when I saw it, it struck me as really wrong and weird, and I was super surprised. But then upon further analysis, as we would expect, Nigel is very reasonable and completely in line with logic.
So what happened? What was the follow-up play?
So funnily enough, the follow-up play was MEZE for 62 points.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing, because sometimes you can make what is statistically the right play and still get burned for it, as what happened here. Nigel got burned with Meze for over 60 points, and that's,
but you're still claiming it was the right play.
I think it is still the right play, because as often as he has things like Meze, Joey Malik might have nothing there. He might just have junk. He might have no E or O, and then he can't do anything about it. So you can't always judge by what actually happens. So yeah, there's our first position of the week. Unfortunately, Kenji couldn't be here, so I'll be your resident Kenji for today.
And it's not Kenji's fault. We've been trying to bring him on. Anyway, thank you, Kenji, for trying.
Thank you. And I want to say, I was going to say after Kenji was on and analyzing this, that you should check out Kenji's books. He's written 2 amazing strategy books. Cannot recommend them highly enough. They are called Breaking the Game and Words of Wisdom. We're going to post the links to those in the comments as well. You should absolutely check them out. Breaking the Game is an introductory Scrabble strategy book. He says it's for about up to 1,500 rated. That's what he suggests it for. And then Words of Wisdom is for a more advanced strategy, if you are very interested in strategy and you want to learn more.
There were a couple of comments on the play. First of all, Zeb was like, how about Any/Yao keeping EER? So he's right in line with Nigel. We had Christina Lemoyne saying, nah, be aggressive. That was what her comment was.
I love aggression, yeah.
And let's see. Jason says, for sure, make it their problem, not yours. I don't know if he's talking about the connection problem or the play. Jonathan Lind says, I might suggest K4 EEW and go for the Wani/your setup at N6.
I was thinking about EW while we were talking, but I think that doesn't score enough points right now. The Wani setup is going to open the triple again, so it's not like you're cashing in some great setup. So
he also suggests that, or maybe Oyer, Oyer N5.
Interesting. That sets up your E. That's very interesting. I wonder if Knight considered it.
And Jason says the E dangler seems too hot. There we go. So thanks for dropping those into the comments. This has been Analysis Paralysis, which may refer to the technology.
That's funny. So we're going to move on to our, what is it called, discussion of the week?
No, we're going to do
NASPA
NASPA Spotlight. Now, this is the topic. How much time do we have?
We have 5 minutes left.
Okay, good. So the topic here is decentralized tournaments. You recently played in what's being called the Toronto Area Match Play Tournament, right? Which is an experimental type of tournament that NASPA approved, where the people don't get together in one place. That's the simplest way to say it. Exactly. And it was played bracket style, basically in living rooms or in bars. Wherever you want to be.
It's worth noting that this decentralized tournament style has to be bracket style. Because if you have a decentralized tournament where everyone's playing in different locations, you're not going to meet up with someone just to play one game. So that wouldn't work. So it has to be bracket style. It only lends itself to that format. So it worked out where you meet up with someone for a long time, you maybe have dinner together as well, and then you get to play a whole series against them.
That's right. And a lot of people believe in sort of this series style play, that it's a better representation of skill than one-off games where variance, rears its ugly head.
We just interviewed Marlon in Lake George last weekend, and Marlon is a huge. I want to say Marlon as well, but Marlon is in huge favor of this match play style. He believes that is what tournament Scrabble needs. We need to have these match play tournaments. We wanted to say we just got news from Annette that Marlon was just in the hospital. He had, what was it?
There's some kind of I don't think that's the case. But he's not doing that well. But at least now he's at home recovering.
So that's good. So Marlon,
best wishes to Marlon. Marlon's the man. We hope to have. We put him on tape for about 30, 35 minutes when we were at Lake George. There's some editing to do, but we hope to put that out. That'll go out on the NASPA YouTube page, but we'll promote it through Facebook. We'll talk about it here on this show. So just, if prayers is your thing or just good thoughts, vibes, whatever, for Marlon Hill, we would appreciate that. Now, back to the decentralized tournament. So there are a lot of benefits. Number one, flexibility. Number two, the idea of playing an extended match set to show skill. But there are probably some cons.
So what is your issue with decentralized tournaments?
So I didn't necessarily say I had an issue, but I would think that one person could say, well, this is, kind of a slippery slope situation. And if we wanted the future of NASPA to take a look like, you and one other person playing in a living room, I don't know where that leads. The counter, of course, is we're in the Toronto area. There are lots of tournaments. We have people come together all the time. But definitely it takes something out, right? NASPA is about, making friends or what is it?
Making words, building friendships.
Thank you.
But I would say on the opposing side,
yes,
I think you get to know someone a lot better when you play
one person.
One person at a time, but it's in a different way. Like at tournaments, especially big tournaments, I find you can often get sucked into the same group of friends and you go to the same meals together. And almost like in big tournaments, you almost don't get to know new people as much. But in something like this kind of decentralized tournament, you're forced to play someone like 7 games in a row, and you're going to get to know them really well because you're talking in between games. Someone's talking during games if the match is pretty lopsided. But
now we should show them what the results of this bracket were.
I can't wait to show you the results of the
Absolutely.
bracket.
So here's the bracket. This was a Collins bracket. There were 8 people involved. If you can see that on your screen, we had Jackson beating Shauna. We had Tony Leah falling to Rodney Judd, which I was surprised by.
Tony was up 3-1 as well. And he lost 3-4.
That's amazing.
Pretty intense.
The aforementioned Jeffrey Newman taking down Kaveri, and then we had Brosma taking down VJ. That seems like an upset as well. And then we get to you take care of Rodney, Jeffrey takes care of Jason, and we get to the final. And surprise, surprise, you come out on top. I heard you swept.
I swept. Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Like it was so dumb. Like he was nice enough to come down to my area, so we played at a coffee shop, and it was pretty quick. I just had a bunch of easy racks, played a bunch of bingos. That's what I like to do in Collins.
So anyway, the interesting thing is this is an interesting experiment, right?
Yeah, I mean, I want to see more of these. I'm thinking about running one in TWL. I'm not too. See, the thing is, if people like this format, they'll keep running these tournaments. But if they don't like it, they won't play or they won't do it. So I'm not too worried about this whole slippery slope thing because I think it's not likely we'll go there. But if we do, it's because people like it.
Right, and then you can kiss gloves and tournaments.
But yeah, I mean, it's worth noting that like even if this does take away of like a certain social element of tournaments, a particular one, but in Toronto where this was run, there's tournaments every weekend. So like there's no shortage of tournaments. This is not the only tournament anyone's playing this season. Toronto's definitely the place to be for playing Scrabble every weekend.
Yeah, I think that's true. The other interesting thing is where this comes from. I mean, the oldest kind of version of this that I remember seeing is like the Boston Bean Pot, I think it was called. And this was not ranked play. It was unranked play, which usually...
Like unrated, you mean?
Unrated, yeah, unrated play. And which usually people are not the biggest fans of, right? But it was a popular thing where they would have 16 or 32 people play. Yeah. It was, I don't know if it was best of 7, maybe best of 5, I don't know, something like that. And people would come together, and that had been going every year. I don't know if it still goes on or not. But it's the sort of thing you can build that way. Yeah. So, and there were some particulars as well as to how this thing ran, right? You had to take a picture of the board or the slip.
Oh, that's cool.
Or something like that.
Oh, well,
you played it.
There were. I mean, it was the Boston. It was pretty relaxed. Like we just sent in photos. Didn't have to be of slips. I just wrote it on a piece of blank paper. He's trying to print out slips, you know.
Also, there was a director on call during the time,
was. So you would let the director know when you're going to play. So there's some logistics. There's not as many logistics as if you're running like a full-on tournament because you don't need a venue. You let people choose their own venue, which is pretty nice. So yeah, the thing I'm considering is last year we had a GTA championship. And Josh is the biggest fan of the GTA Championship. He will talk about it all day. I have to make him stop talking about it. But I was thinking it would be cool to revamp the GTA Championship in this match play format. I think that's what I'd be going for.
This is how you can rig it so you can win your second GTA Championship.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I understand. We had some really nice comments here out of Jason saying, ham it up, Jackson, and Sean saying that you typed up that bracket before anyone played any games. So anyway, that's decentralized tournaments. We're interested to know what you think. Yeah. Throw your comments in there. If you have a big problem with it, you can write an incident report or something, report it to NASPA. We'll see if NASPA approves more of these experiments going forward. I don't think that's a lock for sure. Yeah. But, we'll see what happens.
So once again, thank you for tuning in. We're going to post in the comments a link to the Twitch live stream and a link to Kenji's 2 books.
Yep. So
please check those out.
Big shout outs to Marlon Hill.
Yeah, shout out to Marlon. Please get better soon.
We also...
Oh, yeah. We got some Scrabble birthdays.
That's right. So quick shout out to Jim Nanavati, to Greg Feldkamp, Jared Capel, Troy Thompson, John Ladinsky, Chris Soicher, Mark Milan, Dean Hergott, all dudes this week.
Really?
That doesn't normally happen.
That's very strange. Here's what we want to do. Because we want to give you a goodbye with
X that out there.
Scrabble Cat.
Yes. Thanks very much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We're going to be back next week. I think we haven't even talked about what time we're doing it next week.
Yeah, we're going to try to stick to a regular time from now on. It's probably going to be 8 p.m. No promises.
That's right. And always, if you're looking for back episodes, you can find those on the NASPA YouTube page. Go to YouTube and search for NASPA Scrabble, and you will find it.
And once again, if anyone wants to come on the show, we will always take you as a guest. We could do an interview. You can analyze the position of the week if you feel up for it.
And just if you have something to say,
Anything to
we'll
say,
take
yeah.
a video, even if you don't want to be on live. So just get in touch. And thanks for watching.
Thanks so much. The time is minus 440. We lose 50 points on time. Thanks for tuning in.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.